Hello, and good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to another Thursday Thoughts. How you doing, my man, Kevin?
Doing pretty well. I'm a little disappointed in my shirt choice. I realized my salmon shirt doesn't look too good against this orange background. That's
It does. It
that's
does
something
look
we're
a
gonna
little.
have to correct for next month.
It does look a little cray, and it is St. Patrick's Day. We both probably should have went with the green.
Yeah, we dropped the
Shout
ball
out,
on that one.
shout out to my green drink though.
There you go. I'm not gonna ask you what's in that drink
I'll
on
tell
St.
you.
on
I'm,
St.
I'm glad
Patty's Day.
it's kale dominant, but
Uh,
there's some fruits and goodies in there. But listen, we have a great guest today. We're talking about financial management tips for entrepreneurs. I'm super excited. Let's get right into it.
let's do it.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thursday Thoughts. Zach and Kevin here with you. And as always, we bring you amazing thought leaders, entrepreneurs, experts across a variety of industries. And I'm just happy. I'm happy it's St. Patty's Day. I'm happy it's getting warmer.
It
I've
sure is.
got my man Kevin with me. How you doing today, buddy?
Everything you just said. It's finally getting a little bit warmer. The weather's good. I'm wearing short sleeves today. I haven't done that for a while. And I just got my email notifications as the music was hitting that we're now live on YouTube and we're now live on Facebook and we're now live on LinkedIn, just letting me know all the connections are there. And I'm excited. I know we've got a great speaker today, and I'm glad we're hooked up on all the different platforms. Thanks to everyone who's watching us live. Thanks to everyone who's going to be watching us later. And this is a great topic. It's an important one. Let's get into it.
Indeed. And hopefully we're live on Instagram with this show soon. We were talking about that pre-show. We got some ideas coming. But yeah, super excited to introduce you all today to a new friend and business associate that I've met recently, and a fellow owl. So, all you Drexel guys, you can, you know what. But this is my man, Charles.
This guy's smart. We're going to listen to him anyway, even if he is just a Temple guy.
Right? Let me tell y'all a little bit about my man, Charles. So Charles M. Harris Jr., affectionately known as Tank, is a native of Philadelphia, PA, and a product of John Bartram High School. After 2 years as an accounting major at Kutztown University of PA, Charles transferred to Temple University, go Owls, where he graduated in 1995 with a bachelor's of business administration degree in finance. Upon graduation, Charles took a position with Ford Motor Credit Corporation and began furthering his education by enrolling in a master's degree program at Temple. In November of 1997, Charles was called upon his former college teammate to oversee his investment portfolio. This kickstarted a 25-year-plus career that included a stint at Smith Barney and Payne Weber. In 2001, in an effort to better serve the needs of his client base, Charles left the corporate wirehouse structure to form his own financial services firm, Athletic Business Management, Inc. In 2005, ABM merged with G Financial Group to form the Sports and Entertainment Financial Group, LLC, one of the most recognizable business management firms in the world today. Today, Charles oversees the financial planning firm Wealth Our Way, providing financial planning services to those previously shut out from top-tier financial advice. In his spare time, Charles is an avid golfer and top-flight Scrabble player and spades player. Charles and his lovely wife, Regina, are the proud parents of 10 wonderful children. Charles has offices in both greater New York and Philadelphia areas, as well as the greater Atlanta region. Welcome to the show, my man, Charles Tank Harris. How you doing, buddy? Oh, Charles, you're still on mute.
How about now?
There you go. Now I hear you fine.
So I apologize for that. That's what happens when you plug in a new microphone and your StreamYard says that you're not on mute, but your microphone says, yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
So I said, I'm feeling great after that type of intro. I feel like we should go on tour at the Kings of Comedy.
I feel bad. I feel like I cut out half of all these goodies about you, man.
It's all good. You did the Steve Harvey role of bringing me out. I don't know who I am now, D.L. Hughley or Bernie Mac, but I'm gonna try to do my part to add value here.
You're the best, Bernie Mac, all day.
Because it is St. Patrick's Day, all I could grab was my green thumb drive, and here we go. So, boom. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Really glad to have you. I'm super excited to talk about this because my knowledge about my financial future is like really confusing to me. You know, when I was in corporate, we had the whole, you know, the 401k you invested in, and you know, money's getting saved, so I'm not, and I wasn't even paying attention to it. You know, I see my stubs, I'm like, great, something's happened. And then when I jump into entrepreneurship, and I'm kind of like, make this amount of money one month and another amount another month, and I'm just really just kind of like stashing money to the side and not really doing anything with it, and I'm kind of like nervous to get into it. There's so many things going through my mind to the point where it just kind of fell to the back burner. And I know that's not smart, and I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs may have that same sort of thought process. So I really wanted to have this discussion. For folks watching too, please send in questions. You can put them right in the comments and we'll ask them live on the show. As we spoke beforehand, just to kind of get ready for today, you had a really interesting thing you wanted to lead with, and I'll put that up on the screen now so folks can see. But we have to discuss what type of entrepreneur are you? And you explain the difference between running a business and being self-employed. Can you give the folks a little bit more about what that really means?
No doubt. And I appreciate you leading with that, because I believe I end up consulting to a great many entrepreneurs. And by textbook definition, if you leave the corporate America or educational environment to start a business, you are deemed an entrepreneur. And I don't want to take away from anyone who has taken that tremendous amount of risk on, tremendous amount of responsibility. Where's the flies the flag and where's the badge of being an entrepreneur, by telling them they are not, because you are an entrepreneur if you do all of those things. My delineation between running your own business versus being self-employed is that when you run your own business, you actually have created an entity that, I always use the example, could you go into a coma for 6 months and business continue to run pretty much as if you weren't in the coma? Mm-hmm. And if you can, you're running a business. Or is the functionality of your business enterprise primarily, solely, vast majority dependent upon your actual involvement? And for everybody who starts off a business, I think that's the hardest transition to make. We start these businesses because we have something that we do that we feel we have secret sauce for, and we can do it better than other people are doing it, or we're so passionate about it, we want to go off and do it. But are we laying out a plan that is actionable and able to be followed by someone other than us? And that's where I get that statistic. I want to say it was Department of Labor was talking about the number of small businesses that have 0 employees. And that's another way to quickly identify, are you a small business or are you self-employed? Mm-hmm. If you don't have an entity where people are under you who can carry out, and I get that question a lot. Hey, Tank, you're a big dude. If you have a heart attack tomorrow, who's going to handle this for me? I have staff and they have standard operating procedures. You won't get the jokes and the comfort that Tank brings to you, but your stuff will still keep moving forward.
Right. And 86%, that's a big number. Like, I was kind of surprised to see that 86%. Like, I'm thinking like I'm in the minority of like folks who are just trying to like still figuring out how do I really scale and grow my business. But like, I'm part of that 86%. And I feel like a lot of folks might not think about their financial future until they've actually started to have to hire other people and work in that. Like, I almost feel like they go kind of hand in hand. Like, I was like, oh, I'll look into that whole structure of how to offer 401k and stuff once I actually hire people. Is that common, or is that dumb? Like,
it's extremely common to want to get into the lane of doing your business first and build the infrastructure afterwards. Let's also clarify that number, because I know there are a lot of people out there who will see that number and disagree with it. So let's be clear. I'm talking, what's that? Webster's Dictionary standard letter of a definition. Having someone work for you is not the same as having an employee. You have a 1099 contract, subcontractor, intern. So there are people who have, I got 4 or 5 people on staff. Do you have payroll set up? Are they getting taxes withheld? Are you paying payroll taxes for them? If that's not happening, you don't have employees. You have vendors, you have subcontractors, you have interns. And that large number is based on the people who actually don't have W-2 employees on staff.
Got you. And I think I'm in that growth phase where I've had tons of interns. I've now elevated to having some contractors, some 1099s, and I'm hoping, as I continue to grow, maybe I can actually hire some folks and have employees. But I fully understand that breakdown. So let's jump into this. Let's talk a little bit about why, because you said the why of your running a business was a really big factor. And the first thing we have here is purpose first passion. Can you explain that a bit?
Yes, I often find that most people start a business because they have something that they love. I tell people this all the time. I've been blessed to make a nice numeration for my efforts over the course of my professional career. I don't hurt for money. I generate a nice stream of income. But I did not get into being an entrepreneur to make money. It was the result of my passion for helping people in the financial services space. If I had to be completely transparent to the point of revealing my selfish motivation for being an entrepreneur, it's that I don't like listening to people. I'm very much a hard-headed, stubborn, I want to do it my way type of person. So I got into being an entrepreneur for freedom. I got into being an entrepreneur so no one could tell me when I was taking lunch. I got an entrepreneur so if my kid told me, he had a play at 3:00, I could go if I wanted to. And then I found, with this freedom, it really accentuates my passion. I'm making a bunch of money because I'm doing what I love. All of those old colloquial sayings that we have, you do what you love, you never work another day in your life. It's true. Now I use a term that I'm going to speak lightly on right now because I'm in front of my desk, where I always tell people, my retirement plan is to die at my desk. And I always find it I've learned to put a good poker face on so I don't alarm clients when they say it to me. I always find it a little sad when I ask new clients, what are their ideas around retirement? And you think that 86% number is high. In the 90%, the answer is often, I want to retire yesterday, or I want to retire as soon as possible. I want to retire tomorrow. And the first thing I think is, what the hell do you do for a living that you just hate it so much you want to stop doing it right now? Mm-hmm. I love what I do. I want to do what I'm doing until my mind stops working or my hand can't write anymore, because I'm passionate about what I do. Now you have a whole other group of entrepreneurs who are like, passion is cool, that's cute, but I saw a way to make some money over there, and there's profit over there. Hey, I just went to this store and I can't believe that they don't know to put the fries with the sandwich, discount the package, but make more money. I'm going to open up a store that does that down the street. And you have your profit-driven entrepreneurs. In my history of working with entrepreneurs, I find the more successful businesses, the more successful and the more longevity-driven businesses are the ones that are founded on passion. The ones that are founded on profit are normally businesses, I'll give them this. They're normally, going back to that, are you an entrepreneur versus self-employed? They're more entrepreneurial type of people who develop businesses that are packageable and sellable because they just saw a process that can be improved upon and make more money. I just finished listening to Reginald F. Lewis's autobiography, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? Great book. Reginald F. Lewis, for those who don't know, a former corporate lawyer and entrepreneur who got into the business of basically being a corporate raider in the 1980s when it wasn't something very popular amongst African Americans. And he started buying a company that was about 20 million, then 60 million. Then he ended up doing $1 billion takeover. These companies had nothing to do with each other. They didn't do the same types of businesses. He didn't necessarily have a passion for what they were doing. He just knew he was a good enough businessman to make the business more profitable. He took over the business, he stripped it down, he made it more efficient, and then he would sell it. So there's your passion versus profit.
Interesting.
My grandfather used to always say that every business is the same. It's just the end product that changes.
100%.
And he was always big in getting involved in different ventures, and he may not have known anything about that venture, but if he knew how to run a business and if there was a way to make money from it, he was going to do it. Even down to, He bought our office building, 50 years ago before we had public sewers coming to the building. And he was paying a septic truck to come in and empty the septic tank. And he said, "This is ridiculous. Why am I paying someone else to do it?" He bought a truck. He started a business. He made some money off the companies in the area. And a few years later, the public sewer system came in, and that was the end of his business. But he knew how to run a business. He found an opportunity. He did it.
What you're saying, Kevin, is gold. I found that happen. So I'm a business runner now. I run a business, and I take payments from clients. So I have to use a third-party system to gather my payments, a merchant software. And I've gone through a couple, and now I've migrated to Stripe. Well, one of my clients recommended that I use a friend of hers that she had went to college with who has a merchant system, put me in contact with this person. What it turned out was that this person was the grandson of the patriarch of the family who had started a heating oil business in New England. And they were the best heating oil business in New England. And all these other companies kind of migrated to them for information and for help. And what they did was, just by default, from the way their business ran, started a merchant system to take in payments from all the customers who were buying oil. And the business, the way they did it was so well organized that they started it as a spring off business. So they're an oil company that has a merchant services division. That's and funny. When I started talking to this gentleman, he was, because I was referred by a very close friend of his. He didn't want to take advantage of me. He let me know my business wasn't going to benefit from the way his merchant services ran, that he said I should go to Stripe, and after a certain number of transactions, it may be more profitable to switch to his platform. But to your point, it was the idea that I can put together a system and run a process well, and that transfers over to almost any line of business. So this oil efficiency that we're doing, I can do this with payment collections. And you see that a lot in corporate America and in sports, when you see the same coaches hired over and over and over again. Why? The teams are different. They're playing the same sport, though. It's the same business. And if I can bring my model and organizational structure that works so well over here, there's no reason why it shouldn't work so well over here.
Yep. Agree totally.
Wow.
Love it.
Now tell me a little bit about this, Tank. Tell me, how do you know if entrepreneurship is for you? How do you gauge that?
That's a great question. And my first fallback to that is an example. When I first became a stockbroker at Smith Barney, I was 28 years old. I was 27 years old, actually, when I got hired. My production date was 9803, March of 98. And I turned 28 in June of 98. So I was trading stocks, 27 years old, and I was the only African-American in my office, youngest person there by 11 years. Grew up on food stamps. So, the concept of calling people cold to sell them $500,000 of municipal bonds was like, what? But I quickly learned how to do it. I also tapped into my network of athletes and entertainers, and God takes care of children and fools. I'm getting old, so I must just be a fool, because I've been blessed to walk under a fortunate star in the way my career has laid itself out for me. With that being said, I had, I guess for lack of a better word, a mentor, guy up the street at Morgan Stanley named Ted Reed. Ted Reed is known as broker to the stars. He has athletes, entertainers, heads of studios, agents, managers all through Hollywood. He throws a Grammy party every year. Shout out to my guy, Ted Reed, who made me buy him lunch the very first meeting we had. He said, "You're getting something for me, so you're paying for lunch. You make 10 times more than me, but okay, it's good. You're still my guy, Ted." Anyway, I asked Ted, when I was thinking about leaving the brokerage firm the first time, why haven't you left the brokerage firm? Because when you're at the brokerage model, basically you are an entrepreneur in spirit, but you work for this company, and they give you all your back office support. And when you bring this revenue in the door, you're actually bringing it in the door for them, and then they're doing a revenue split. The most successful people, the people who are on Ted Reed's level, may get to a point where the split is 50-50. But for most people, the house is always getting more. When you become over $1 million producer, you might get to 50-50. And then you get some other perks. With that being said, I was like, dude, you could go out on your own and get 85% of this revenue. Why are you giving your partner, Morgan Stanley, so much money? And he said, because I'm a financial advisor. I'm not a business owner. He said, when I come in here and these computers don't turn on, I want to be able to pick up the phone and call and yell at somebody and have them come fix my computers. When I run out of business cards, I want to yell down the hall and have somebody bring new business cards. When the thermostat is out and I got a meeting, I want to be able to yell at somebody else and have them fix that. When you become an entrepreneur, those are all your problems. And he's correct. I am the janitor and the CEO of Wealth Our Way. So no matter what goes wrong at some stage in the process, it's my responsibility. Now, when I, once again, become more of a delegator, more able to let go, there's a gentleman named Gino Wickman, whose book Traction I really try to follow, but he talks about the entrepreneurial operating system. Great book for anybody who's fancies himself to be an entrepreneur. When you have a system, when you start turning your business from self-employed job that you've created to enterprise that can grow globally without your day-to-day involvement, you will start to feel less stress. You will start to realize that your passion can still be lived and you can still be an entrepreneur, but you have now created a structure around it. So I think everyone has to ask themselves that question. How much freedom do I really want? How much autonomy do I truly desire? Because there is nothing wrong, as Ted Reed proved to me, because he still manages more money than me and has more clients than me, higher profile than me. You can be an employee and do quite well for yourself. You don't, it's the wave now, and it's very popular in our culture to go out and be an entrepreneur, but you don't have to be. There's nothing telling you have to be. It's just a choice that I've made, and most people who do make this choice, it's something in them. They say entrepreneurs are born, not made.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. So let's say we are firm in being an entrepreneur. Let's talk a little bit about these exit strategies. All right. So to really jump into some of these financial tips, what are some of these things that you need to know? I know we have, starting here, Secession Plan and selling the business and being a valuable business. You can start anywhere, but tell us a little bit about exit strategies.
And I'll throw all of these around because if we did it in the way my mind works, they would be running around a circle where you just jump in like double dutch. There's no real starting or ending point with that. The reality, it goes back to what you were saying about the difference between corporate America and being an entrepreneur and knowing, hey, they were taking X amount out my paycheck on the 15th and the 30th. I kind of didn't have to worry about it. Someone else did that for me. Now this is your responsibility. So the very first thing I would tell someone when they become an entrepreneur is, although a lot of us don't start off with the thought of we're doing this for money, everything worth doing is worth doing for $1. And I said this on my program last night. We started talking about greed and selfishness and why they aren't necessarily bad words or concepts. If you go out of business and you have a valuable service that the community needs, you've cheated the community. So you have to be profitable. You have to put yourself first. You have to make money because you have to stay alive long enough to do the good that your business is set up to do. You have to get paid. And David Bach, I believe, is the financial person's name that I think I've read so many books in my life, but David Bach had a book called Pay Yourself First, talking about personal finance. Really good friend of mine, Nicole Purvey, Better Than Success Real Estate League. Shout out to Nicole. She's been telling me for years about another guy who wrote a similar book for entrepreneurs, the Pay Yourself First system, that makes sure that every dollar that comes in gets structured to go into an account for you and your personal substance, and then everything else for the business gets paid out of it afterwards. So the first tip would be to set up some type of bookkeeping, processing, payment system, whatever word you wish to use, that delineates what the use of every dollar that comes in. On my platform, on Wealth Our Way, I tell my clients and my Wow Nation family members, always practice BUD, the acronym BUD, best use of $1. You should be, as an entrepreneur, also practicing BUD. When that dollar comes in the door, if you set up to make 15% profit, 20% profit, 30% profit, take it off the top, put it in the profit account, and then go ahead and pay your bills. And if you see you're short somewhere, now you have adjustments to make, but never cheat yourself. Once you set that level of money coming in, now you can start to say, What portion of this do I need to live today off of? What portion of this is the government going to take? What portion of this can be saved for the future? That's personal finance for an entrepreneur. Should I continue and segue right into some more of the business stuff, or you want to kind of break it back out for people to refamiliarize themselves with each segment of the questions?
I mean, I can throw this back up, but yeah, whatever part you want to jump into next.
The other part that I find, and this is a double-edged sword. So a lot of companies, they need to do business. That's a dumb statement, but it's a true statement. Companies need to do business. You're interfacing with someone who needs your product. And normally business is divided into two buckets: business to business, business to consumer. So for Wealth Our Way, we do both. We have individual people who come in and buy our products, courses, and services. But I also have corporations that I'm a speaker to. I have books that I'm authoring that will be used as educational literature. So I interface with both businesses and individuals. There is nothing, and I was like a snob here, and people who know me are going to hear this, they're like, he's such a snob. But nothing says don't do business with me more than wealthourway@gmail.com. Like nothing says don't do business. Nothing says I don't care about my business more than I won't go get a domain name, because they're cheap. They're $9.99 at GoDaddy or wherever they are. So you have to dress for the job you want, so to speak. In doing these things, you add value to your business, because even something, this is what I took from the Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun book, the way Reginald Lewis placed value on everything. So I just used an example of a GoDaddy website. If I'm hosting my Wealth Our Way on GoDaddy and I'm paying $19.99, when you come to buy Wealth Our Way for me, our hosting services are $49.99. You know, you're paying me more. The price today is not the price yesterday. So $19.99 of that's going to go to GoDaddy. That's what they $30 of that is coming to Charles Harrison, the sale of my business. Everything has a value that I can make it appreciate. So what do I have to make that appreciate? I have to have some type of asset or process. So my background as an investment person, over the course of my journey, it morphed into becoming an insurance person. And in becoming an insurance person, I got very deep into business insurance, key man insurance, cross-sell, split purchase agreements. Most of the quickest way, if you're a service-based business especially, that you can put value in your business so that you make it an asset worth selling, is to have some form of life insurance associated with the business, some form of cash value life insurance associated with the business. Why keep money in a bank account earning zero interest or very infinitesimally small amounts of interest when it could be tied to one of the key employees at the company, and the cash value be growing at 3, 4, 5% tax-free over a long period of time? Now I go to sell this business to somebody and I say, hey, I'm Charles Harris at Wealth Our Way. I have 5 books. We're still getting royalties off. We're going to sell the royalty ownerships to you. I have a client list. The revenue on the client list last year was $950,000. You and your attorneys will do your due diligence and determine what percentage of that client list is likely to stay if Tank leaves. You may determine it's 60%. So now you're valuing that client list at $540,000 in revenue. Oh, but we have 2 life insurance policies, one on Tank, one on his CFO. They both have $400,000 in cash value, and they both have $2 million face amounts. Tank and the CFO don't own them, though. Wealth Our Way owns them. So when you buy the company, you get those life insurance policies. One day I'm going to drop dead. You'll be probably the most concerned person, more concerned than my oldest daughter, because you'll be sitting there saying, there's a now time to collect this $2 million check. These are ways to place value inside of a business that a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about, because everybody has this ideology of it's tied to me. But when you make the decision to become an entrepreneur, the reason businesses have their own EIN, it's a living, breathing entity. And you want to start building value for that entity from day one. That last part takes me to the last part, which is the Secession Plan. I hate to keep coming at the same number, but this is just the numbers they are. Between like 8 and 9, like 80 to 90% of every entrepreneur that I sit down with and talk about how they're going to retire or how they're going to get out of the business, the answer is always the same. I'm going to sell this business. Oh, you are? Who's going to buy it? Who's going to want it? And what are they going to pay for it? Is it going to be the retirement plan you think it is? And what I find from entrepreneurs, and you said this earlier, we were talking about the whole having employees or not having employees. Most entrepreneurs don't have employees, not because they're greedy. They actually don't have employees because they're nice people and they're concerned. Because as an entrepreneur, the first thing you tell yourself is, I'll eat what I kill. If I have a bad month and I do absolutely no business, I don't get to eat that month. And that's on me. I can live with that. That's the risk I take with being an entrepreneur. But you don't want to put that risk on an employee. You don't want to have some brand new spanking 25-year-old kid who just got married and has a 2-year-old depending on that $750 paycheck you promised them every Friday and have to tell them, can't make payroll this week, Pete. Sorry. You want to make sure that you can, any obligation that you take on, you can meet. As a result of that, entrepreneurs are notorious for skimping on things that are necessary to grow their business because these things come at a cost and they don't want to wake up every day with this. If I don't make $18,000 this month, forget me getting paid, the doors close. That's hefty. Let me start to jettison some of these costs. And as a result, you don't build value into your business. So when I'm telling someone how to build a succession plan, we are talking about going back to the fundamentals of what dollar comes in, what portion is earmarked for you, what portion is earmarked to grow value in the business. Do not use your business as a piggy bank and strip every dollar of profit out of it. First of all, it's not efficient tax-wise. One of the greatest gifts of being an entrepreneur is the advantage that you get over taxes. It's a lot better to be taxed as an entrepreneur than to be taxed as a W-2 employee.
Knowledge upon gems upon gems, my man. Like I'm taking, first off, I wrote down the books. I didn't know business could have a life insurance policy on an employee. I think Kevin's probably looking up policies as we speak for now. That is so great. Thank you for dropping that knowledge on us. And folks, again, we have a little more we're going to chat about, but if you have questions for Tank, get him here. He's free when he's live. So like ask the questions and we'll pick a good one and throw it his way. So this other piece to touch on here, Tank, and we talked about this briefly, was I have this conundrum of, in terms of trying to invest, do I do it myself because I feel like that's the entrepreneurial thing to do, or do I hire someone to do it? Which at first I thought that wasn't very entrepreneurial, but you kind of changed my mind. Can you talk to me about this a little bit?
Love it. So this is another one of my favorite sayings that I stole from my life's experience of hearing great sayings. An intelligent person knows that there is so much that they don't know. And one of the things about being an entrepreneur, when you really embrace it, is you start to realize the importance in being a specialist, the importance of niche marketing, the importance of a niche specialty. And by niche, for those who aren't up on the word, it's a small lane. It's a microcosm. It's carving out a space that I could do better than anybody else. Maybe I work with athletes. That's a niche. But maybe I work with retired athletes. That's a smaller niche. Maybe I work with retired athletes that want to become coaches when their career is over, an even smaller niche. And I become the guy in that space. When someone wants to know who should they call when they're a retired athlete looking to become a coach, my name's going to pop up. And it's one of those things where, as an entrepreneur, we have an ego. I have an ego that's so big that there should be a fourth box in this broadcast. As an entrepreneur, you have an ego, and you feel as though it's really addressed in that book by Gino Wickman, Traction. You hit the ceiling that I'm hitting as an entrepreneur, and that almost every entrepreneur hits, which is you don't want to delegate. You don't want anybody else doing anything because you feel as though no one will do it as well as you. And guess what? No one does anything as well as I do it. So let's tell you, my ego is well earned. I am right. No one is going to send out the Christmas and birthday cards as well as I am going to do when I put that special note in it because I know this person or something like that. But there's not enough time in the day for me to worry about getting an A+ on sending out Christmas and birthday cards. I have to delegate that to somebody else who may only do it 70% as successful as me. But the value proposition of them doing it at 70% of my ability and my time being freed up to do something else makes the business better. It's the best use of my time. So we talked about the best use of $1. Let's talk about the best use of time. Is your time best served managing your own investment portfolio or hiring a professional to do it? That's the question. The reality is that, and I tell people this all the time, when I came up through the investment advisory business, Smith Barney, Payne Weber, then starting my own business management practices, I learned very quickly that I was a financial salesperson more than I was a financial expert. It just so happens, if you were fortunate to get Big Tank, that I went to school for actuarial science and international monetary finance, and that I'm wicked smart. It just so happened that you lucked up if you got me. But the average financial professional, sorry, they're not that bright. I mean, I'm just going to keep it funky with you. The reality was, I learned this very quickly at a Smith Barney meeting. We used to have these meetings. So as a person who works at a brokerage firm, you're considered a retail financial advisor. You take products and you retail them to the general public. You need a mutual fund, I will sell you a mutual fund. But the mutual fund companies come to our offices and convince us why we should sell this mutual fund. They're considered wholesalers. So we would have lunches paid for, dinners paid for. It's a great place to get fat when you work in a brokerage firm because they're bringing lunch and breakfast in every day, paying for dinners. I'm sitting in a wholesaler meeting. I wasn't even licensed yet. I'm in that 12-week period where I'm studying for my Series 7, which is the test you have to take to be licensed to sell stocks, bonds, and other securities. And a wholesaler is in there talking about the mutual fund. This is the one I will give these people credit, because normally you go places and nobody asks any questions because they're embarrassed to be seen dumb by having asked a question that they're supposed to know.
Right.
Not the problem here. This guy stopped speaking, and every hand in the room went up about everything he talked about. These financial advisors sitting around the room listening to this presentation didn't know jack. And I'm sitting there like, I'm not even on staff yet. And I know all of this. Now, I did just finish school, so all of this was just taught to me. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't understand it to the point where I went into my manager's office. I said, this was a joke, right? I was asking Kushner's around here. I was being pumped, right? And he's like, no, kid. He said, here's the deal. This is not about being smart. This is not about knowing finances or being knowledgeable. If you know that, that's a plus. He said, this is about getting people to write a check to Smith Barney. You're a salesperson. He said, the average person that gets hired to be a financial advisor is in their second or third career. That's why you're so young, you're not supposed to be here. That's why the average person here is 40, 50, or 60. They've worked somewhere else. Going back to one of my favorite sayings, their network is their net worth. And they're just calling a bunch of their friends who they know are sitting at a desk at a 6-figure job and saying, hey, Terry, good to talk to you. I haven't seen you since I left Philip Morris. But hey, you still contributed to the 401k over there, right? When I left, I rolled mine over into this. And what do you know about that? Blah, 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 blah. And you get Terry to roll his money over. That's the financial services industry. So I do understand your trepidation of the question of should you do it yourself or hire a pro? Because in a lot of instances, these cats don't know that much. But then it's on you, buyer beware, to go find a Tank or someone similarly ilked to say, hey, if I'm going to trust you with my bread, what do you bring to the table? What is your value proposition? What do you know? Are you a money guy or are you just a salesperson? Because what I was told very early on in that business is somebody sat me down. He's like, you're a smart kid. I was like, well, thank you. They said, here's the deal, though. You could find out how to get people 30% returns with absolutely no risk and be out of business by Friday if nobody knows you can do it. He said, this is not about how good you are at this job. This is how good you are at marketing what you do. And that always stuck with me. That's why I embrace the term that I'm a salesperson. I am brilliant and I'm knowledgeable, but I'm a salesperson. I have to sell you on why you should sit here and listen to what I have to say. And that's why, platforms like this are great to bring this knowledge to the masses. I feel as though I have an obligation and a duty, especially to underserved communities who never get these conversations, to spread my knowledge. But the reality is that I'm always marketing myself. More people need to know Tank exists and things of that nature.
That's fantastic. I appreciate you dropping that knowledge in the effort of sales. As you see, I just decided to throw our contact, energy, and Navitas marketing on the screen. We can give our 30-minute consultations out. Let me ask you this, and kind of on that same tip, what is your take at being a professional in this space on the e-trades of the world, and the fact that now Cash App and Venmo, you can buy stocks and Bitcoin and stuff like that on there? What's your take on that? The new in your hand digital, investing world.
Big Tank is nothing if not a storyteller. So let me tell a story. And I always love to support or illustrate my stories with a movie reference. So there was a movie, Along Came Polly, with Ben Stiller and Jennifer Aniston. And, I won't go deep into what the movie was about, but there's a scene in the movie where they go to an island and there's Hank Azaria's character wants to take them scuba diving. And Hank Azaria is chiseled in a Speedo, hanging down right above, where he's just this sexy man. And Ben Stiller is immediately intimidated because he's got Jennifer Aniston, who's googly eye in the guy. But Hank Azaria is there for nothing but teaching you how to scuba. And he says, he says a little island accent. He says, "Are you for scuba today?" And they're like, nah, we're not scubaing because we don't want to be around you in your Speedo, is what Ben Stiller is thinking. And at the end of the movie comes full circle. They come back to that island and they run back into Hank Azaria. And Ben Stiller sees Hank Azaria, and Hank Azaria says, my friend, you are back. Are you here for scuba today? He says, yeah, I'm here for scuba, but we're going with that guy. And he points to some other guy. Hank Azaria says to him, hey, I don't care who you scuba with, so long as you scuba. He was so into wanting that process to happen. He wasn't into promoting himself. He just loved scuba diving. So that's my long story into, I love E-Trade, I love Acorns, I love Stash, I love all these places that now have everyone getting equal access and opportunity to start experimenting and understanding and learning how to buy and sell securities. That's the great news of it. The bad news of it is, unfortunately, it's still sales, and you're giving people a little bit of information, enough to be dangerous, and mistakes are made. We go back to buyer beware. I don't feel sorry for people who are making mistakes. I used to. It's horrible to see people, like my man Michael Douglas said, a fool and his money are lucky to get together the first time in the movie Wall Street. I used to feel bad about people, but now that I do 2 15-minute programs a week for free and an hour program a week for free and put other content out for free all the time, that if someone hasn't taken the time to go get this free game to learn how to do it better, then a fool and his money are soon parting. So you have to do the work. It goes right back to the question you asked, which I know I took a long route to get back to. Do I do it myself or do I hire someone? Do it yourself if you're prepared to educate yourself on how to do it yourself, or find someone who's educated to do it for you. You can make a mistake in both lanes. Unfortunately, there's no guarantee. If you do it yourself and you don't know what you're doing, you got a fool as a money manager. If you go hire somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, you got a fool as a money manager and you're paying them. So there's your answer. I say, there's enough game recognized game, and you're looking familiar is a street saying. I'm here every day on the internet. I'm up to episode 137 on 15 Minutes of Finance, and I didn't start numbering them until last year, and I've been doing this for 2.5 years. I probably have 400 episodes of financial conversation for you to find. If you don't want to take 15 minutes and learn for free what somebody's talking about, go ahead and put your $500 in E-Trade and buy the wrong thing.
Right. No.
And I also think, Tank, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, you know, me as Kevin, you as Tank, you know, Zach as Zach, like we don't want to see anybody fail. We don't want to see anybody lose their money. But if all of a sudden we put our entrepreneur hats on and think about the opportunities for our businesses, someone who's on E-Trade and probably doesn't have enough knowledge, you know, you're thrilled that they went on E-Trade because it means they understand the importance of what E-Trade offers, which is, you know, the stocks, the bonds, the trading. But if it doesn't work out, now it's an opportunity to find someone who can help me the right way, such as Tank. Or if it does work out, eventually it's going to go to a point where I just can't handle it myself anymore. Maybe I actually did do a good job, but it's just getting to be too much. And going back to what is my time worth? You know, I did a good job, but now it's too much time. It's too much knowledge. It's too much reading, videos, whatever. Now it's time for someone else to do it for me because I've got something better to do with my time. So
Perfectly said.
You know, something like that. I mean, is it competing with you? Sort of, but I think it should be a great opportunity for you also.
I think that a lot of people have a scarcity mindset when they shouldn't have one. And going back to Henk Azera, go scuba. Like, you know, when you ever see people doing, what is it called, voter registration drives on college campuses or whatever, they have a candidate they want you to vote for, but they don't come and talk to you about their candidate. They feel as though their candidate would be voted for if more people voted. So they're there to get you to vote. And then you'll find out about their candidate. Go learn that you need to grow your money. Get overwhelmed with everything that's out there.
Yep.
You'll find your way to wealth our way. And
Yep.
and I got you. I'll take care of you when you get there.
And from a marketing standpoint, I have the exact same conversations. It's, as we talked about earlier, it's a different end product, but it's all the same process leading up to it. Google Ads is a really good example of it. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs understand the importance of Google advertising. You really need to be in Google Ads every day to know the tools, to know how it works. You know, anybody can take the training and, you know, learn the tool itself, but to have that mindset, you really have to be in it and doing it every day. And we have a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners that think they can do it themselves. They try to. And guess what? You know, I mean, I have the same conversations you do. First one is, are you really knowledgeable enough to do this yourself? Second of all is, what is your time worth? Don't you have something better to do? And sometimes they understand that, and sometimes they try to do it themselves. And guess what? They usually don't see the results they want. And if you don't start with us today, I'll see you in 3 or 6 months.
Exactly.
Right.
And the price would be higher.
Of course.
That's the penalty for doubting me at the first place, right?
Exactly.
Right.
You gotta pay the surcharge, because if I gotta clean, it's one price for me just to come in and fix it or start it. It's another price for me to repair it.
Yep.
100%. I almost look at it like those apps and everything. It's like a gateway drug into those higher levels of, you know, financial knowledge and need. You know, I've dabbled in some of those apps. And, you know, I'm now in that mindset. Well, I'm only willing to play with like $50, $100, $200 on those. But like, I did a little good. I saw a little increase. So I was like, okay, I'm not willing to try more, but I would talk to someone like Tank to try more. He knows what he's doing. Listen, this has been a fantastic show. I'm so happy you had the time to do this with us. Tank, any parting words you want to give to our viewers, both live and those who will be watching this later?
First and foremost, I just want to say that take a deep breath. We live in a microwave age where everything is supposed to have happened yesterday. Everything is supposed to give us 30% returns. I was in a debate on Facebook the other day about Goldman Sachs wants its employees to come back, and everybody in the comments is like, Goldman Sachs needs to change their ways. We're not going back to offices. I was like, when did employees become so empowered that they were going to tell their employers what they're doing? I think there's a lot of noise out here that we have to kind of step ourselves back from. Focus on niching down your life to what's best for you, whether it's financially, whether it's business, whether it's in your family, and learn peace and elevation to your levels of happiness. You will find that needs financing. You will find that you have to work and earn money to get that life that you want. Don't do it the other way around. Just don't find a way to go get a bunch of money and then think you're going to be happy. Studies have shown time and time again, there is no destination called happiness. Happiness is a fulfilled path. And there's nothing that you're going to know, no mate, no job, no having a child, nothing that's going to make you happy. So focus on getting happy and then find a way to finance it after the fact.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Again, everybody follow Tank on his platforms, Wealth Our Way on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I believe it's Wealth Our Way Network on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
He has so much good information and content on there. Make sure you're checking him out. And make sure you check us out next month. We are having Chris Mandrakia come. Our topic is going to be marijuana, the law, and your business. And we're doing it on 4/21. It should be a fun event with Chris. He's an awesome lawyer in the area who focuses a lot on all things marijuana related. So it should be a great show next month. Again, Tank, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. The attitude for gratitude towards you. And Kevin, I'll be seeing you soon because we're going to be celebrating your birthday.
We are going to be.
My man Kevin, don't he look old? Like he getting older.
Kev, happy birthday, great baby. I don't know you well, but I hope to know you more in the future. And I don't drink much, but I'll turn something up in your honor, because it's St. Patrick's Day. So
I appreciate that. Zach, you didn't ask me for any parting words. Is this because of the joke that I gave last month after the end of our Thursday thoughts?
I do recall that, and it was terrible, but we got some time if you would like.
It was great, but I've got more closing thoughts. Tank, I got to ask you, since you're the money guy, do you know why money is called dough?
I do not.
Because we all need it.
That's horrible, but I'm telling my daughter that later. So me and my daughter have the running dad jokes, and I normally just get them off the internet, but there's my one for today.
Oh boy. Oh,
Zach,
boy.
You obviously don't get it yet, but you'll laugh later.
Yeah, perhaps we'll see. I do get it. I'm just done. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. We'll see you next month. Peace.
Thank you for having me.